Well, welcome to our videocast and our radiocast of Tales of the Kingdom, or otherwise known as the Hands and Feet of Jesus. And in this videocast and audiocast, we interview people who can illustrate what it means to be Jesus' hands and feet. And the theological basis for that is the Great Commandment. Jesus' greatest commandment to us was to love God. And we demonstrate that love for him by demonstrating our love for others. And I have with us two guests today. And the first is Azeem David, and then his son, Shahroz. And Shahroz are here with me today, and they are from Pakistan, but they're currently in London, England. And Azeem, I knew you when you were about the age of your son, and you were in a class that I taught. Was it in Lahore?
Yes.
It was in Lahore, Pakistan.
Yes.
And you were a teenager at a conference I was teaching. Now, I know this is a little embarrassing, maybe for me, because you may not remember anything that I shared in that class. But do you remember anything from that class that I taught many years ago?
Yes, I very much remember, and I remember your face, even your program about harvest.
Right.
And that was also the Great Commandments. Your messages and seminar was regarding main theme was the Great Commandment.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Did that have any influence on your life in terms of how God led you?
Yes. Why not? You are the person who convert me to accept Jesus Christ as a personal savior. Before that, I want to become a police sergeant,
Okay.
to ride a bike and control the traffic like this.
All right.
And
Okay.
because of you, yes, I have, of course, I'm priest son, but I was not a real Christian, and not, we can say, born again Christian. But
Okay.
because of this, even when I get back in my home, I read this verse, what Jesus said. And then, in my life, I always have two options.
Yes.
I always have two options. I asked to Jesus, I'm going to for interview in police. If I get pass, then I will do the police job. And
Yes.
if I get fail, then I will become priest. And
Okay.
I did, and I
Yeah.
did because of this, because Jesus said the great commandment,
Yes.
go in the world.
Right.
And honestly speaking, uh, at that time the bishop was Alexander John Malik, our bishop. And even my parents also asked me, become priest. And because of you, we said, our son is the priest. second
So,
class. Yeah.
so God led you into the priesthood.
Yeah. And
And
my bishop also spoke. Then I confirmed, because of this verse, God spoke to me through two people more.
okay,
Then I went for
okay,
training. Yeah.
okay, for training as a priest,
Yeah.
right? And so, what year did you become a vicar in Christ Church?
Sorry.
किस साल में आप पादरी बने थे?
In 1994.
1994. Wow.
Yeah, on
Um,
September.
right.
But
Okay.
I think we meet in like 87.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's I don't like to hear that because that shows how old I am.
And yeah, yeah. And if you remember, we meet again in
Yes,
Amsterdam. Yes,
I
do you
remember. Yes,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That was the Billy Graham
yeah,
meeting in Amsterdam. Right.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you became a pastor of a priest, a pastor of a church, a local church,
Yeah.
and that church was how large was that church when you began?
When I began that church in 15 December 97, I started as a vicar in
Yes.
Lahore, Mughalpura. The church name is Saint Oswald Church. Anybody can see my progress on Facebook by the ID of Azeem David and Saint Oswald Church. Just you can write Saint Oswald Church of Pakistan, and you see.
Okay.
Bob,
Okay.
just let me translate him the question properly. वो पूछ रहे थे कि आपके कितने लोग थे जब आप चर्च शुरू किया था?
हाँ जी, वही मैं बताने लगा. And at that time, people usually came in my church mass like 25 to 35 people.
25 to 35 people.
Yeah.
And as you began your ministry as a vicar, you left how many years later? When did you leave St. Oswald Church?
I leave on 2019.
Okay, and
Yeah.
okay, and that was because of persecution. I'll talk about that later. But
Yeah.
what I want to ask is how many members of your church were there when you left at St. Oswald?
When I left, there was on Good Friday, people come like 1,500. 1,500, even
Okay, from
Easter and Christmas, near
from-
about 1,500. And
Okay,
in regular mass, every Sunday, की क्या English होती है? Approximately more than 400.
Okay, from 32
Yeah.
to 400
Yeah.
regular attenders.
Yeah,
Well-
more than 400. And I got two parishes.
Okay,
One is in Atchison College, and their people more than 100, and here in St. Oswald, more than 400 people.
okay. Now, that's an amazing growth.
Praise
You-
Lord.
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah.
Lord, Lord.
Anywhere in the world, that's an amazing growth.
Yeah.
So, why do you think the church grew so much?
Because I believe on this verse. Go in the word, preach the gospel.
Right.
And I've been experienced that if you believe on gospel, and especially on this verse, because this is commandment, and do it in your practical life.
The Great Commission.
The Great Commission.
So it's
Then,
not a matter of just preaching the gospel.
yeah,
It's living the gospel. Is that right?
yeah, living the gospel.
Okay.
Act, you should act according to this verse. Then God uh, glorify his name.
And in the glorifying of his name, the
Yeah,
church grows.
grow. Yes,
And
of course.
that's been your experience. Now,
Yes.
I want to share with our listeners and viewers
Yes.
that you left the church.
Yes.
Why did you leave for London? Tell us that story.
Yes, I love to say, because God give me blessing. Today I also preach on Facebook the Luke 10, when Jesus asks to 70 people go
Yes.
and deliver the demons like this.
Okay.
Because God gave me healing power in my seminary time. And I practiced in my church in morning prayer, in on a Tuesday service, not in St. Oswald Church, even outside. I got outreach program like
Yes.
Pattoki, Kasur, Sahiwal, even till Texla, Rawalpindi. I preached the gospel in seminars, in conventions like this, and God blessed me. Because of this prodigious jealousy, some people don't like me, because in my church, when I have healing services, there is some other become people from other religion like Hindu and Muslims.
Yes.
They came, and they have got blessings, got healings. And
Yes.
even by the grace of God, I baptized more than 30 people from Hindu background and others.
Yes. And
And
so,
because of this,
yes,
I
because of this,
people don't like this practice. And even I got beaten by unknown people, and then I leave the country.
okay. So I
Yeah,
understand that from something you told me in an earlier conversation we had, that um, there the majority religion in Pakistan,
yeah,
some radical people from that group
yeah, yeah,
tried to burn down your house,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and when they weren't able to, they said that
FIR
unless you stop converting
yeah,
our people, we're going to kill you and your family. Is that true?
yes, yes. My
And so at
son
that,
also want to say something. Please listen.
okay, please.
Yeah, so it's that one time we were, my dad was, my dad first used to go to preach at Aitchison College early in the morning. Then after preaching from Aitchison College, he used to come at the local church where our vicarage was and where he was actually living. So when he was preaching at the Aitchison College and we were getting ready for the church service, the neighbor's house, which was just besides us, very close, low wall and very close to us, we heard gunfire shots at our vicarage, and we were getting ready, and they tried to, point that gun towards us, but luckily God saved us, and the only damage it got us was that some windows broke, and that's it. But God saved us, and there was police standing outside. They used to stand outside churches these days to give protection, and the
Right.
guy ran in front of the police and they couldn't catch him, the one who did the shots.
And even Bob, after that happened, police don't want to write
FIR.
FIR.
And there have been some numerous little cases like this that finally led us to leave Pakistan to come
Yeah.
to London.
Okay. So what was it that you were training your people to do? What are some examples of the kinds of things that you, your church, and your people did to be the gospel, to express Jesus' love in the community?
क्या कह रहे हैं?
Let me explain. वो कह रहे हैं कि आप ऐसे क्या करते कि आप लोगों को ट्रेन कर रहे थे कि वो खुद गॉस्पल बन के जिएं और गॉस्पल की मुनादी करें. आप ऐसे क्या क्या आपके स्टेप्स थे जिससे आपने लोगों को ट्रेन किया? आहिस्ता.
Bob, I have a different, program. Like in youth seminar,
Mhm.
I give them training on the Great Commission.
Right.
In women seminars, even in church services, even we have house groups. We have, like conventions, and
Like
in
what?
conventions.
Yes. Okay.
Do
Yes.
you understand conventions?
Yes. Yes.
Crusades. And in that time, we have different topic for evangelism. And because of evangelism, people don't like this.
Okay. The non-Christians didn't like this.
Yeah, but
But
I want
Azeem,
to clear here.
Okay, Azeem, what I want are some examples of what your people did as an outreach, to the people in the community. What are some of the examples that you encouraged your people to do to demonstrate Christ's love?
Right. So I would like to answer that.
Okay.
So once we started, it wasn't always like we were always from the beginning we were preaching to the other people. At first, we made a strong base in the church by preaching healing and the Great Commission. And when the people from our church, we also had, you know, uh, on weekdays we had this open theological seminary going on by OTS. It's quite famous if you have heard about it. And it was also equipping people. That was happening in the church. So what people used to do was they used to invite their other friends from other religions and other faiths to like if they were going through any kind of stress, any kind of sickness, any kind of depression, any kind of problem, or even some of them were thinking that they suffered through demon possession. So they were invited over to the church to see how church can help them. And usually they used to sit at the end of the church at the last row so that not many people see them. And then they used to get up to come for the healing services. And this was the major way of a very big way of outreach.
Okay.
And also during the service, if someone came with this problem for healing, like have a possessed man or woman, he come forward near the altar, and I call my parish committee, my prayer group. I call, come with me and put your hand on him or her. And because of this, they
encouraged.
They encouraged.
Yes.
They encouraged, and they become my arms, my hand, and they go in parish, even they go offices, even they go their institutions, and people inform them, evangelize them how Jesus Christ work in our church.
And our
Mm.
focus on teaching
Yeah.
was also that it wasn't just all the priests and vicars and fathers that Jesus called to preach, and we all were supposed to, or every Christian is supposed to be disciple of Jesus,
Yeah.
and every disciple is supposed to preach the word of God. So our emphasis on this, so they used to preach at their workspace, they used to share little information, and which attracted many people to come to the church and focus on what the teaching is actually about than what they just hear from here and there.
Right.
And Bob, in Pakistan, our community is poor, and I have a witness. One girl go in a home for household to clean
As
the
a house
house
helper.
like
Yes.
this,
Yes.
and there was a lady who possessed, and she asked, if you go like in kings, when the officer of the army came to Noman,
Hmm.
uh, to Elijah, like this. Sorry, Elijah, the word.
Uh, Sorry. So yeah, so the lady, she came and asked if you can talk to church to pray for her,
Yeah,
right?
Okay.
no. The girl asked to her, if you go in my church, you will be healed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I'm asking about the Old Testament miracle about the office army officer.
Right.
If
Yes.
you
Yes.
understand, yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So
like this.
I know that also your church had an outreach to providing food for people in the community. Describe that program.
Yeah, actually, where I preached, there are so many poor people,
Right.
even Christian and other religion. And there, impressed by this verse. If you give food or help somebody, you help the angels from
Right.
the gospel,
Or even
and
Jesus.
even Jesus. Yeah. And uh, me and my wife. My wife was a executive, the teacher, executive, like principal. She was the
Yes.
principal. She got a handsome salary. I also got very good salary. And I asked my congregation, I have some amount like this, 10,000, 20,000. Share your share. Give us your shares. People ask, we will share 5,000. We will share 10,000, and we jama karne ke,
Collect.
collect this amount,
Right. And shared it
and
with
then
it.
yeah, and then announced on Good Friday we will cook this food.
Right. Okay.
And
Azeem, our time is up, but I want to just thank both of you for being with us today. And I want to encourage those who are listening to ask, Lord, what can we do to demonstrate God's love in our own life with our own resources? May God bless you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.